The political left-right paradigm has been extraordinarily successful in hypnotizing the masses. Even today, billions of otherwise intelligent individuals are unable to free themselves from its grasp, hyperventilating over Marxism or fascism. They're unaware that the left-right scheme is a clever trick of the oligarchy to control populations and nullify genuine political debate. The preferred mode of social control has been, in the post-World War II era, through terrorism. Terrorism, whether in the form of communist terror or fascist terror, is owned and controlled by the same oligarchy. Today, we look into a particularly turbulent time in Italian politics when a population eager for the blessings that ordinarily come with peace were instead terrorized into compliance with the same power structures that had created the recent world wars. This is from Executive Intelligence Review from 1981. Spotlight on Italy. Left-Right Terror, a Single Network, by Vin Berg. An investigation that first led police into a fascist terrorist safe house on the Via Prenestina in Rome has now produced hard courtroom evidence that not only have the left and right terrorists in Italy collaborated closely, but that both, in fact, represent a single indivisible organization. This organization is proven to be a project of Italy's now notorious Propaganda 2, P2, Freemasonic Lodge, and the powerful and wealthy black noble families that created P2. Roman police, following a trail of evidence that took them from fascist organizations' hideouts to the red terrorist organizations' hideouts, discovered weapons used in common and documents showing that logistics capabilities were shared, memberships overlapped, and operations were conducted jointly. The Red Brigades killed Aldo Moro, and the black fascists who bombed train stations are the same people. Among those arrested as a result of over 50 warrants issued to date are individuals attached to the P2 Lodge and individuals directly employed by such ranking households as that of Junio Valerio Borghese, Italy's Dracula-modeled Black Prince, himself a member of P2. Just as a side note, if you want to go back and look at my playlist, I did a short sort of series on the Black Prince, Junio Valerio Borghese. You might want to get a clearer, more detailed picture to watch that. Anyway, going on. The character of the P2 Lodge itself is indicated by a statement of the Masonic Grand Orator Ermenegildo Benedetti at a party at a March 23rd to 25th, 1973 meeting of Italy's Grand Orient Masons. Benedetti cited P2 leader Licio Gelli, who was once a torturer from Mussolini's secret police. Quote, "In the most delicate body of our communion," said Benedetti, "the Propaganda 2 Lodge, a brother has been put in charge, Licio Gelli, who not only has an unhappy fascist past, but who still lives with a fascist conception of the world, up to the point that he invited to be brothers members of the highest national hierarchies to work in order to prepare a dictatorial form of government for Italy, the only form, in the opinion of Gelli, able to solve the serious problems of the fatherland, unquote. The Roman police raid on the fascist Via Prenestina safe house occurred only one day after the P2 list's publication, suggesting that this action was part of the set of retaliatory measures by the Vatican, which the London Times reports to have prompted the revelations triggering the P2 scandal. The combined result, according to police, is that they now know everyone responsible for every major terrorist act, both red and black, in Italy over the past 10 years. A fascist hideout for leftists. As far back as 1976, EIR began to publish materials demonstrating that left and right international terrorism has a common mother, the Italy-centered black nobility of Europe and their Royal Britannic appendage. The leads provided by EIR and LaRouche at the time have now been borne out with a vengeance by the Roman police. That investigation began when the Digos, Rome's police, discovered a hideout of a fascist organization headed by one Egidio Giuliani. The ramifications were immediately evident in the fact that Giuliani, a full-time terrorist operative, is on the payroll of the U.S.-based Honeywell Corporation. Giuliani confessed that an ADP advertising agency he said he heads is merely a front whose only function is to supply weapons and false passports to both red and black terrorists, as well as to common criminals. The criminals had to pay. The terrorists received such items for free. At Giuliani's Via Prenestina location, police found documents and weapons of all types. Among the documents were identity cards and false passports for not only leading fascist figures, but leading red personalities too. These included Roberto Martelli, head of the leftist Unità Combattenti organization, and Aurelio Gambini, head of the leftist Prima Linea. Also discovered were communications between Red Oreste Scalzone of the Autonomy organization and fascist Giuliani. For example, the police discovered a note from leftist Gambini to fascist Giuliani recommending an underground doctor who could be trusted to treat Michele Viscardi for bullet wounds he suffered during an attempted kidnapping operation by Giuliani's organization. In fact, documents showed that the red and black gangs had jointly conducted bank robberies, kidnappings, and drug trafficking to gain funds for their operations. Magistrates promptly shifted investigations to the cited left terrorist gangs, following leads to several of their hideouts. At these, police found weapons of two types: a cache purchased from Gaddafi's Libya by Oreste Scalzone, whose Autonomy organization is a little more than the above-ground support network for the Red Brigade terrorists, and a cache supplied by fascist Giuliani's ADP front. The circle, as police pointed out, was complete. Fascists and Reds were using the same weapons. Some of these were purchased from Libya and on other international black markets by Giuliani. Some were purchased by individuals like Scalzone, who was already wanted in connection with the murder of Aldo Moro, and whose trail led directly to Bettino Craxi's P2-infested Italian Socialist Party, which funded and housed the Metropoli publication of Scalzone's autonomy organizations. Among other names released by police were Antonio Ginestra and Michele Surdi, both part of Scalzone's Metropoli group, the latter a professor of legal philosophy at the University of Rome, and Valerio Morucci and Adriana Faranda, among the original founders of the Red Brigades, both already in jail. 2 weeks ago, Roberto Martelli was arrested in Lisbon, Portugal, where he was in touch with fascists there. Altogether, Prima Linea, the Red Brigades, and 4 other red terrorist organizations were named as essentially one entity with Giuliani's and other fascist organizations. Moreover, the joint connection of the red and black terrorists to the P2 Lodge was firmly established. Seized along with Giuliani were 2 other members of his organization, Loris Facchinetti and Oriotaki. Facchinetti is the founder and leader of another fascist group, Europa e Civiltà, to which Taki also belongs. In 1970, at a major ceremony of Italy's Grand Orient Lodge, subsuming the secret P2 Lodge, Grandmaster Lino Salvini ushered Facchinetti and Taki's Europa e Civiltà organization into the Masonic movement. That same year, Facchinetti, who heads Atanor, the exclusive publishing house for all Italian Masonic lodges, and his Europa e Civiltà organization were deeply involved in the fascist coup attempt masterminded by one of the P2's ranking members, Black Prince Borghese. So what we have here is a kind of a consortium of black nobility focused in Italy, but then you have a direction and training and funding being provided by the unholy alliance between the Brits and the Americans, who were very aggressively organizing, training, launching these terror attacks during this time, with the bombings that killed so many civilians, but also the political assassinations. And then you have, as a result of that, over time, a deep resentment on the part of the European old nobility. There began to very much deeply resent the aggressive, I don't know if you call them interventions, but intrusions by the British Secret Service, British intelligence, SIS, working with the CIA to carry out attacks in the heart of Europe, which this resentment continues to this day.